Hello and welcome. Welcome to my series, which is Becoming Superhuman. Today, I'm going to explore why being human isn't good enough. And we're going to explore the different reasons why that is. A lot of the misconceptions and exploring some very useful alternative ways of thinking about this that can make a difference to you. So before I get into that, I've got something very cool coming up. It's a brand new program that I've created called Becoming Superhuman. I'll be sharing a bit more about it later, but if you are interested, you can send me a private message or comment below. So, being human, why isn't it good enough? Now, people are often well-meaning. I've heard a lot of people say this with good intentions, like someone's beating themselves up about something, and someone says, it's okay, you've just shown that you're human. So it sounds good that you're, just someone wants to make someone else feel better. So it comes from a well-intentioned place most of the time. But what they're missing out on is, what if that person needs to feel that bad? What if, in fact, the person hasn't felt bad enough yet, which means they're not going to change their behaviour in the future and they're likely to repeat what they've just done, the thing they're berating themselves for? What if that self-blame is actually apt? You know, I've done many things in my life that I think are terrible. And the reason why I'm sitting here right now actually living the life that I am is because I felt the depth of the pain of what I'd done. And it was that depth of feeling that made me resolve to never do that again. If I'd have taken on that I did my best and that was okay, I would never have made the changes in the past 5 years that I have. And it would have robbed me of numerous experiences of personal growth and working with others. So it's one of those things where, it's okay, you're human. Sounds good, but it's actually limiting people. It is one, telling them that what they're feeling isn't okay. You're actually kind of saying that. You're saying to them, it's okay, I want you to feel better. And that's not necessarily required. It's okay to be with someone and let them be in the pain of what they're experiencing. The other thing is, it's putting a limit on what human means, because when you look around, if you get on the train on a daily basis, or, if you're around rush hour time particularly, you look around at humans, that's what humans are doing, right? They are often switched off on their phones, not really engaging with the people around them or life in that moment. They are waiting almost, when you get on transport, they're just waiting really for something else to happen, to get to their destination when they can begin living again. And it's like, if we talk about just being human, when we look around, most people are not really living up to what that means. So it's why I'm really moving into superhuman and why that's so important, because it's superhuman to me, by the way, is actually the fullest expression of being human. It's just that it's been so watered down that I don't think it's good enough anymore. I think I need something bigger to aspire to. And so it's like to be the fullest expression of who we are. So one of the things that brought this up for me, made this quite clear, is that Mum watches these programs where it's got these like children who've done amazing things, like a violinist, a pianist, someone who dances. These children from the age of like 2 to 7 years old who've done amazing things. And she's like, wow, look at these amazing children. And they are amazing, but that's the potential for every single child that's born. Not in the same way. Everyone's got their own potential. We don't know what that is. But every child gets to be that. It's like the problem is by elevating these individuals, we're making other children think like, almost what we're saying, well, that's not you. Maybe you could try your best. Maybe you could just be human, but those people, there's something different about them. And it's very limiting. And yet we're watching all these shows, whether it be The X Factor or Voice or whatever these things are, and you see the individual striving and achieving, and it's like, wow, look at them. All the people looking, millions of people, very few are actually thinking, what could I do now? Look at what these people did over here. Where could I go with this? And I see that as a travesty. Myself, for 36 years of my life, I very much lived in that way, not having any aspirations, so I get it. And I also know on the other side what it's like to continually strive, to be more, to do more, to create more, to be of greater service, and all these things that are possible for us moment by moment. And, we've got like the Paralympics. The Paralympics shows what's possible. People who have physical differences to us, right? So certain things they are unable to do because they don't have the same limbs or they don't have the same makeup within, right? There are certain limitations compared to other people that you might look at. They call them disabled, which I don't like, but that is a term because in certain ways they are less able. However, then you see them do some crazy stuff, right? When you see them, especially if you see the winter sports, my God, what they do there is nuts. However, you get to see a glimpse for what's possible for humans. These are humans who, in theory, have been dealt a bad hand. They've got things that make them less able to do things, and yet we see them do extraordinary things. Again, though, when we're watching this, very few of us are actually going, what could my potential be? What could I challenge myself to do, to be, and become? It's like that's what we should be doing, and that's why being human isn't good enough. Because the meaning of it's been taken away. People aren't sitting here. Most of you, as you're watching this, you may or may not be thinking, I'm a miracle right now. I mean, nobody knows how life exists, right? There's lots of theories, but nobody knows at all. Nobody can tell you how it got here. What happened before the Big Bang, right? No one even knows what happened straight after it. No one even really understands the universe, the miracle of life, the energy, right, of how there has been adaptations in nature that means there is a bird, as a cuckoo, right? It lays its eggs in another bird's nest. Now, a cuckoo is a giant thing like this, and it lays its eggs in 3 different species of birds, and the birds are like this big or something, right? And it produces an egg the same size and with the same coloration as those birds. Now, there's no way that when that cuckoo started, whenever it was thousands of years ago, that it had the same size and shape and colour egg, right? Somehow the energy of life has shaped that to make it match so it could do that. I mean, it's insane, right? That's the genius that exists within life itself. And so, but most people aren't thinking human is a genius, human is incredible. And that needs to change. And that's why it's not enough to be human. That's why superhuman is where to go. So is this making sense to you? Does this resonate? I mean, let me know, right? If you're here or if you watch this on the replay, likes and loves are useful. So I know that this makes some sense to people. This is very good. Because if this is, I've seen this actually. One of the reasons why I've come to this even more so is through the work I've done, with many people over the years. And I've seen the clients who have thrived and created incredible things, and the ones that have been limited, the ones that have continued to grow afterwards. And it is this continual striving, the continual seeking to be more that makes the difference. That's what I've seen. At the moment, okay, I've got one client who's just moved to Thailand, and he's quit his job, given up his home to move to Thailand with no guaranteed way of making money. He's just decided to take the leap, right? Because his wife he lives in another country out there. Well, at least that's where she comes from, and they want to live there and create a new life. So he's gone out there with no fixed idea of what can happen, with some potentials, and he's just taking that risk. So that was a superhuman act of bravery to create the life that he wants. Now, what he'll create, who knows? But that act is a fullest expression of his desires and his dreams, which makes it far more likely that he's going to be able to create that. Someone earlier in the year, he actually went across to the other side of the world to take a risk on a relationship, right? He didn't have a clue. She lived abroad. He didn't know if he'd be able to, what would happen with the relationship, but he just moved there to find out. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter if it fails. It felt important enough to try. So it's, again, a superhuman act in that moment. It's the fullest thing, the best thing he could have done is to find out because he cares enough. That's amazing. Another client, she's built this, a couple actually, of unique coaching programs. She's a brand new coach. So when you start out, it's like, what do I do? Well, guess what she's done? She's created very unique programs to help people. One's called I Love My Body, the other one's Fearless Dating. And these are based on her own personal experiences and of what she's drawn to in her work. And she's created some brand new things that never existed before. And she is staking her claim in the world. And that's what she's being. She is expressing herself uniquely through these acts, superhuman acts of creation. Now, if we string those together through a lifetime, these individual acts that are superhuman, the fullest expression of us in the moment, that creates something extraordinary. And that is what's possible for all of us. And that's why it isn't good enough just to be human. That's not okay. So if this is making sense to you, and this sounds good, you may be interested in this very cool thing that I've got coming up next year. It's called Becoming Superhuman. I'll share a little bit more about it later, but I'll be opening up applications soon. If you're interested to know more about it, you can send me a private message or comment below. But this is important to me. You know, this is deeply meaningful, because the way I see it is superhuman is an aspiration, right? It's like, I want to be that. So it's something you continually strive for, which means every day, in every act, right? In everything you're doing, relationships, in your work, in your physicality, in the little interactions you have on the train, right? In any moment, you get to express yourself fully. You get to aspire to be superhuman in that moment. That's what you get to do. It's also a pathway, because it's like, well, if I want that, then you know where to go moment by moment, right? That's what you get to do. It's a path. So superhuman is also a pathway for you to create the life that you want. Because it's not like there's an end, right? It's not like I can say, yes, superhuman now in every area of life. There's always going to be more. And that's exciting. And I think that's a decent purpose to live through. That can't help but be of service to others more than just ourselves as well. Superhuman is also for me when I'm thinking about this, I think of the world, and I think this. So that if we hear, like you watching this and just myself, so us decide to become superhuman every day, to have superhuman acts, so the fullest expression of being human, moment by moment, and we do this, and we choose to commit ourselves and to live in this way. But it's going to influence the people around us. You know, it's like the small acts of kindness that people do. Even if you see it simply, if you're driving along and you let someone out, you will see, if you watch behind you, them letting someone out, and it kind of has a knock-on effect, right? It's like the knock-on effect of kindness. It's a very simple thing. But what about if you're living to this? You know, you're saying, doing, and being the expression of yourself that you could be. What impact does that have on the people around you? People that really know you as well. Maybe they'll do the same, and then maybe they'll be able to influence the people around them, and then of course, who knows how far that can go. For me, I see this as expanding out into society, into the world. I mean, for me, it's the greatest aspiration. Imagine if we had 7 billion people on this planet, from birth to death, striving to become superhuman, striving to fully express themselves and to do their best, truly their best in everything. What kind of world could we be living in? I mean, that's exciting to me. That's worth going for. You know, that's deeply meaningful. I hope it is to you too. And I hope this is resonating with you in a way that makes you want to do something about this, because you've got the choice. You've always got the choice to decide. In a comment, you know, you receive a message from someone. Do you say what's honest, or do you say what is least offensive or least uncomfortable? You know, when you're going for a job, do you go for the one you think you can achieve, or do you go for the one that scares you but you want more? You know, these choices on a day-to-day basis. You keep making the choice for stretching yourself, for doing more. Guess what? It becomes a way of being, and who knows what that could lead to for you and for everyone else. You know, it's just something that's so exciting. And I've seen obviously the benefits in my own life, and the benefits of the people I've worked with and my friends who are also living in this way. They may not call it the same thing, because we've got our own way. I mean, for me, superhuman is just what represents it for me. But it is being your true best in any given moment and striving to be better continuously. Not accepting that your mistakes you've made, it's okay because you're just human. Well, what if they're not okay, actually? And what if you need to appreciate their lack of okayness so you can change and never do that again, and to strive to be better? What might that create? So, if you're here and this resonates with you, I do have something very awesome that's coming up next year. It is the boldest thing I've ever created, and that's saying something actually. It is called Becoming Superhuman. Now, it's the culmination really of everything I've done, both personally and professionally over the past few years. It is a 4-month intensive, just for a small group of people, that's designed to train them to be able to express themselves in what they say, do, and be to their fullest, moment by moment. You know, the relationships, friendships, work, what they're doing physically and what they're embodying in this world, moment by moment. To train them in a way that means that's a way of being, to become superhuman. And it is going to be the most challenging thing that I've ever done, and it's going to be very challenging to be put through, but it's very cool. So if you want more for yourself, and that sounds like something you might be interested in, I will be opening up applications soon. And if you're interested, you can either comment here or send me a private message, and I'll send you those details when you're ready so you can have a look. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If you have any questions about any of this, please post them, even if you're watching this on the replay, and I will come back. Nathan said, sounds awesome. Thank you, Nathan. It is awesome, and it feels good to me just connecting to it and sharing it actually. So thank you for being here. Post your questions and comments if you have them, even if you're watching this on the replay, because I will come back because I do want to hear from you. And if you want to become superhuman, send me that message. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next live, which will be tomorrow, actually. Take care.